We are good to go. I think just to start off, I always like starting with a word of prayer. So we pray and believe all religions are respected. Thank you, God, for the gift of life. Thank you for everyone who is present here and the families they represent. May we open our minds, open our hearts to learn and be willing to share so that it may positively impact us and our families. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. So I'll have my camera on for a bit. Hi, everyone. Just a bit of introductions. My name is Linda Makatiani. As I said, I'm your trusted partner when it comes to wealth building. I am a financial literacy trainer. I believe in empowering ourselves, our children with financial literacy skills so that we can make our future generation better and more ample to share. To take on their financial journey with confidence. I'm also an investing coach, using my 15 plus years of experience in the investing space in the Kenyan capital markets to guide, individuals, groups, families as they're navigating this investment landscape, just to understand, what do I invest in? Why should I invest here and not here? What do I need to know before I start investing? And all that. I'm also a family wealth planner. So what I do is I empower families with financial confidence. I'm really, really big on just getting families to work united, to come together, to build wealth together, because for me, unity is strength. There's some level of strength that we get when we have shared goals, when we come together as a family, to support one another and to work together. And that's, for me, is one of the key ways we can be able to grow, not just grow wealth for these generations, but grow wealth over time for the generations to come. I'm very happy that you could join me today. And so today we want to just look at, as we're starting off the year, if you follow me on my socials, I said for me, January is a month that I take aside to be able to start off with goal setting, because for me, to be honest, December is usually a very busy month, from trying to clear so that at least you can take a bit of a break, to having family time. So I find I can't give enough time to properly sit and now build my goals now for the coming year. So I do that in January. I start off my January just sitting down and trying to see what do I want to achieve. And then I give myself 10 months so that December now I can, take a breather and try and see what I have managed to do, what I've not managed to do, why, so that when I'm coming through in January, now the next January again, I can be able now to sit and reflect. So karibuni sana. I will start off the webinar now. Allow me to put off my camera so that at least we can be able to just go through the presentation. I would want it to be as interactive as possible. So during any section of, as you're going through the webinar, do feel free to just put in word on the chat. Once I see it, then now I'll be able to add it on. It could be a point, because for me, I said we are here to gain insights, but also to share, because we are all part of families. We are all out here experiencing these financial pressures. There are those ones who've experienced it before us. They might be able to share some of the things they're doing. So this is a learning environment. Feel free to be able to share what's working, or if as well, what you're facing, what your challenges are, so that then I can have an active discussion throughout the webinar. But thank you so much for being here. Sawa. So as we go about goal setting, I think this is just a summary of what my introduction, as I've said, 15 plus years of experience in the Kenyan capital markets, the investment coaching, the financial literacy, and this is an initiative, Finance for Families. I told you I'm very big on families. Just for me, it's how can we be able to empower and equip our families with the knowledge and the tools so that we can build confidence in each and every member of the family, regardless of age, so that their financial future, they're able to achieve their financial goals. For me, I believe that's the way we can be able to make our society better going forward. Yeah. And the reason I'm doing this is, for me, I honestly believe a single tree cannot make a forest. As I said, we are all part of a family. We are all coming from somewhere. And this, for me, this proverb, it reminds me that when it comes to wealth building, when it comes to most of the things in our lives, just even finances aside, we cannot do it alone. It takes collaboration, it takes a shared vision, it takes support from the right people to be able to do it. And for me, I believe the first stop when it comes to that collaboration, that shared vision, that support should come from the family. Yeah. So, and now when you look at it from a financial point of view, I believe family finances should be a team effort. When the family comes together to plan together, everyone chips in, brings in their strengths. That's the way the family can be able to grow, as opposed to when it's all left to one person. Yeah. So what we're aiming to look at this webinar is one. So what is family goal setting? Many of us in our families are really struggling with these financial pressures. Yes, we want to set goals. We have these things we want to achieve, but there are all these pressures, that we feel like at times that is working against us. So what really entails that whole family goal setting? And then from there, what are these pressures that we are facing as families? And then from that is we look, okay, so this is what it is. This is what we are facing, and this like the actionable strategies and solutions that we can try, so that we are able to now to create that financial harmony that we envision for our families. Thinking about just families and goals. So family goals, as opposed to individual goals, these are shared aspirations. So it's not something that one person in the family is sort of pressing towards the rest of the family. This is something that as a family, we've come together and said, you know what, the three of us, the four, the five, however many you are in your family, we have sat and we have agreed, this is what we want to work together. So for me, I always emphasize the agreement. Everyone is in agreement. We are all working towards it. And then, the togetherness in it, it's a shared objective. And with that, we see if we come together and we create that shared objective that everyone in this family has agreed, we see family unity, we see levels of financial security, because now everyone in the family realizes that, my financial future is at stake here. So I need to be able to participate in it in whatever area that I can be able to do that. And then we're looking at the long-term vision, because remember, in the families, there are different generations. So if we're coming together and we are creating these goals, then we are not creating goals just for the parents. We are creating goals that are going to benefit us as a current generation. And we are also looking to see, so how is this going to affect the next generation? And is it something that can spill over to the next? So there's that long-term vision that comes when we come together as a family to be able to create these goals together. So then we realize that as a family, we are all on the same page. We are very clear that if there's any financial strain that is to occur because we have not been planning together, then it will affect all of us. Yeah. So, and we are also looking beyond. Then from that, we're also able to look now beyond just now all the short-term goals that we are thinking. As I said, you're thinking not just this generation, but how are these goals going to affect the next generation and the generation after that as well. Yeah. So when we come together and we say, okay, so these are the goals that we're trying to work towards, and we realize that out here, there are all these pressures, and it just got me thinking of all the things that we feel like is working against us when it comes to attaining these goals that we have. And one of the key ones, which everyone is always complaining, man, things are very expensive. Things are getting expensive by the day. I was looking at this and thinking to myself, how much was bread, and milk just the other day? You could go with 100 bob, you could buy even 2 packets of milk or 3 packets and bread. But now you can hardly get in with 100 bob. You can only get one. Choose one. Are you going to go with milk? Are you going to go with bread? Or are you going to buy the really small pieces? When you look at the bills that we are seeing now, to be honest, even for me, sometimes I look at my elec bill and I start wondering, when I leave this house, do they start a factory here? What happens? But it's all that we are thinking, taking our kids, even just the basic necessities. School, you're trying to buy books and you're looking at this and remembering how much they used to cost when you were in school. The difference is enormous. You're trying to buy uniform, you go there. Right now, I think you need to have to the tune of 5,000 plus to be able to buy like a full uniform kit. So these are the things you're like, okay, I want to provide this for my family. This is our goal. We want to be able to get here. But there are all these inflationary pressures that are coming in that you feel like now is working against you. This is the money you want to put aside to do this, but when it comes to being able to do that, you're looking at it and the money is not enough, because things have changed. So what then do we do about it? And this is like on an everyday thing. So you have that, you're looking at rising costs of everything. You're looking at now family financial pressures. Maybe you are the first one who has gone to school. You've gotten a nice job. Your relatives are seeing you in a suit and they're like, Uyo, this money is ours. We also played a part in you being able to get there. So they're always asking for something, and then they reach the point where they feel like it is ours, it is not yours. So it's sort of like now you're working for them. Every month, people will be expecting something. Every now and then you're getting Harambe requests. Here, send this. We are having this, especially for us who have parents at home who've retired. Every other time you're getting messages, who and who, I have to go for this funeral, I need to contribute this. Or you remember who and who, someone you don't even know, we need this. There are all these contributions that, are also there asking for the money that you've made. And then there are expectations where you see thinking, if I was to live, if I was to be honest with myself and the money, the income that I have, to be honest, I would not be living how I'm living. But because there are those expectations, my parents are there saying, our child works in a bank, or our child is a consultant here, they work with this. You feel like now you have to show up in the best of shoes and the best of clothes, and all that. And that adds on to the pressures as well. And some of this, we look at it and we're thinking, okay, fine, can we be able, what are some of the solutions? But again, for me, I always say, when you're looking at the economic pressures, we're looking at the family financial pressures, but there are also those ones which are individually, placed. We have misplaced priorities, where we are looking and you're seeing we are living for others. We're not really living for ourselves. I want to be part of this group, so I will move to this neighborhood. I will get this car. You have a rent that you cannot afford, and that becomes, it's your goal, but it's an overstretched goal. So you are there and you are really struggling. Is it a struggle that you should be? No. To be honest, if we were very honest with ourselves, we would realize it's not. It's just misplaced priorities. You can start with where you are. So when I look at these two pictures, I always tell my clients, if you are here and you're stuck here, then there's a problem. But if you have this, and let's say maybe you've gotten that car and your goal is, okay, let me put it up for transport, get people maybe from Nairobi to Naivasha or Nakuru, make some money so that I can be able to improve my life, then yes. But if you are parking this car here and this is the situation, of your basic need, your basic household need, then there really is a problem that you need to look into. So even as you're saying, okay, fine, I'm facing all these pressures as I'm trying to attain these goals, you have to now do some self-reflection and see what of it is actually my own doing. It's not being caused by things that are out of my control, but it is what I have control over. The lifestyle choices. I want to go out with my girlfriends. Everyone is going shopping. We are not all the same. We don't, might not be working in the same environment. You don't have the same family expectations, family needs. But because I've said, let's go shopping, you carry yourself and you go, whether it is a sale or not. Those are self-imposed pressures. You are there with your children and you feel like you have to get for them the latest gadgets, but inwardly you are thinking, I am struggling to even pay school fees. Those are self-imposed lifestyle choices. And these are the first things we need to look at, not even just from a family point of view. Before we reach the family, it's on our own individual self. What am I doing? Are there things that I am doing that actually inhibiting me from achieving the real goals that will get me somewhere? This money that I'm going, however I justify it, whether it is a sale, it is bonding with my, I'm trying to improve my social capital, all those. We always have all these justifications. Yeah, I'm trying to give my children the things that I did not have. I don't want them to feel neglected. I've had parents telling me, I don't want them to be 20 and going for therapy and saying, oh, I'm like this because my parents didn't buy for me a laptop and all that. But it's looking at how far are we willing to go based on our lifestyle. So it's the first thing is actually being very honest with ourselves, even before we sit on that family setting. Because remember, you're coming to this family setting to set those shared goals, but as an individual first. Yeah. So I have to see what am I contributing in this family? Am I bringing in positive energy? Am I bringing in positive habits and all that? Because if you don't, as we'll see later on, then it actually ends up affecting not just your generation, but the generations to come as well. Yeah. So, and with that, I always say, for me, we have to reach the point where as individuals first and as families, we ask God to grant us that serenity to accept the things that we can change, to accept the things that we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can't change, because especially when you think of like the family financial pressures, those are things we can change. It might take time, it might be a bit painful, but those are things we can change. We just need courage to be able to do it, and the wisdom to know the difference. Once we are able to do that, we know this I can't change. What don't I have control over? What do I have control over? You start with the things that you have control over. Yeah. All the pressures that you have control over are the ones now you start working on and see what can I be able to do about it. Then now the others, you figure out how can I be able to manage these ones, because I cannot change them, but I can be able to manage them. I can be able to plan around them so that they don't affect me as adversely as they would if I have not planned. Yeah. So we are looking, so what do we have control over? We have control over our budgets. Yeah. The money coming in, the money going out. What are we spending the money we are earning on? We have control over that. We have control over our spending habits. My friends want to go out, dinner, eat, what? Let's do a trip to Naivasha or to the coast and what? Do I have it? Do I have the capability to be able to, the financial capability to be able to do that now? If I don't, I need to be very honest about it and say, you know what, I cannot be able to spend on this now. Yeah. As I said, we are asking for courage to change the things that we can. So most of these things take courage. What we have within our control, debt management. Do I have to go into debt for something that I really don't need? I just want it. It will be good for me, but I don't need it. It's not going to help me to get some income. It's not adding that much value. It's not a need. Do I really have to get into debt? No. Yeah, I might suffer for a bit, but it will not be something that will affect me long term. I have control over that. Do I have control over the financial literacy skills I can get? Yes. There are free webinars like these ones. I have done several on budgeting, on savings. They're on my YouTube channel, and those are free. You can go sit and watch. You have control over that. Yes, you do, so that you can make better choices. What don't we have control over, but we can try and manage ourselves within that environment. We don't have control over the economic conditions, but can we manage? Yes, we would figure out what is happening here, what is the best way to be able to manage ourselves in these economic conditions. Do that. Can we be able to invest, so that at least then we can, our money can compound and, beat inflation? Can we do that? Yes, we can. Do we have control over health emergencies? We don't really. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Can we be able to manage, mitigate against it? Yes, we can. We can be able to put money aside, have an emergency fund, and all that slowly. And this is where I get people saying, oh, but if I'm already struggling with my basic needs, how can I be able to put money aside for an emergency? And I would say, don't look at that emergency fund as something that you have to put aside as a lump sum. It is something that you start growing slowly. So as you're working on your budgeting, what you have control over, you're looking at what is coming in, what is going out. Out of this that is going out, can I be able to control it in such a way that I can be able to put some aside for this, so that in case anything happens, if I have saved 5,000, 10,000, I will be better placed than if I had nothing at all with it. That 5 might have been saved over a period of time, but the fact that you've managed to put aside something slowly at your own pace, based on your budget, it puts you in a better position than someone who said, I cannot be able to do it. Yeah, yet they can still go to their friends, yet they can still spend here, yet they have an expensive phone, yes, they have a guzzler, buying fueling their car with thousands every other time, all those things. So this, can we be able to control job loss? We've seen, even when you own the company, you can't really be able to control it, because things happen. You have your company decides to downsize, and you're part of the department that's told, okay, thank you for your good work, but going forward, we will not need you. You have no control over that. Maybe your company, based on what's happening now, this digital space and everything, some of them go like, okay, now there's not much for us in this environment now, and you have to make that tough decision to close shop. So you might not have control over that, but can you be able to just be able to protect yourself in case that happens? Yes. Put aside some savings just for you to be able to cushion you as you try to transition from maybe one job to another, or if you've had to close shop, you have time to be able to figure yourself out. But within this time, you're able to provide for yourself your basic needs. You don't have control over the interest rates. We don't. But can we use it to our advantage to be able to figure out, okay, so which are the best investments to do now, so that we can be able to make some passive income that we have control over. So it's now it's that wisdom to be able to say, okay, fine, I can't control this, but in as much as I can't control it, what can I be able to do to protect myself from it, to manage that situation in case it does occur. Yeah, now that is the wisdom. That is the wisdom in it. And this is from both an individual point of view and a family point of view. So when you sit together as a family and you're saying, okay, fine, we are looking at this. These are the pressures that are coming in. But are we able to control our budget? Yes. Can we sit and see what we can do away with? And everyone agrees that that is fine. We don't need that one right now, well and good. And then we are able to work from that one. And as we then going into, okay, fine, so we've figured out this is what we can control, this is what we can't control, then how do we now sit and start looking at these goals? And as I've said, the goals need to be very specific. One, we've said these are shared goals. These are goals that we've come together and we have agreed this is what we want to work towards, all of us. And this is a framework, and I'm sure most of us, if you've ever come across, creating your goals, you've come across the SMART framework. But for me, I want us to be able to now just pick whatever goal you're working, either as an individual or as a family, and then slot it in in all that? Is it specific? Is it measurable? Is it achievable? Is it relevant? Is it time bound? Am I challenging myself enough in all this? So don't just look at it like, okay, I fine. I have this goal. This is what I'm working towards. I was listening to a podcast by Mel Robbins, and she was going through some research done by I think it's a Dr. Roger, and he was talking about when you're looking at your goals, you have to think beyond, I just want to achieve this goal. You have to ask yourself, what is my motivation for this? What is it actually going to achieve? It has to have, it has to appeal to the core of you. It has to appeal to the core of your family for you to be able to achieve. The reason why we set goals in January or even in December to say in January we work, and then January we start very strong into, we'll do this, and then by end of January, masaka masai or mid-February, we are tired. You can't even remember why you are even doing it in the first place. It's because we don't look for goals that appeal to the core of us. And Mel Robbins was talking about the Goldilocks story, where you remember when Goldilocks, the people who've read that the small girl who gets lost, I think she gets lost in the woods, and then she ends up in this bear's house. And when she enters inside, she sits and she finds on the table there are 3 bowls of porridge. So she tries on the big bowl and she says, this is too hot. It's not for her. Then she tries on the middle-sized one and she says, oh, this is too cold. It's not for her. So she moves on to the small one and she tries and she says, this is just right. Now, when you're working on your goals, you need to get that bowl, like the way Goldilocks got that porridge bowl and said, this is just right. It needs to be just right. That is the only way that goal can be sustainable. So if you're looking at it and saying, okay, so as a family, for us, financial security is very, very important. We want to be able to see how can we, in whatever happens, the mom loses her job, the dad loses her job, but we have something that is able to sustain us. For us, that is at the core of our family. What goal can we be able to set for ourselves to help us realize that? And you say, fine, let's do what? Let's start a family business. It could be, we're there in the village, or wherever you are, there's a school nearby. Let's start like a small shop where we can sell stationery. How much do we need to be able to set this up? We need about 200,000 just to start us off. And you're like, okay, fine. Do we have that 200,000? No. So our goal is very specific. We know at the back of it, the reason why we are doing this is for the financial security of the family. We want people to just that passive income is going to give us the financial security that we are looking for. So we are very specific. We want to save 200,000 to start this family business. Now we have to measure it and see, okay, fine. If it's 200,000, how long are we giving ourselves? And then you break it down into small, measurable, and achievable targets. Another place where we go wrong is we set these goals. We go very ambitious, but we don't look at our current financial situation. So when we start struggling, what happens? We find ourselves now hating even that whole process of trying to achieve this goal, because then it becomes frustrating. It's so stressful. So it has to be measurable. It's something you can say, okay, fine, we can do this. Yeah, this is achievable. Mm, Hi, I am back. I am so sorry. I think, should I blame Safaricom or should I blame KPLC? One of those, but I hope you can hear me. Good. Thank you. uh, they are not going to stop us. KPLC, Safaricom. Right? Yeah, so I was saying we have to, thank you, we have to make it time bound. So it's not an open-ended thing. And I always tell families, if you have kids and you want accountability partners, the ones who keep you in check, kids are very good at that. Actually, that whole family shared goal setup, that's one of the roles you can assign to the children. When you tell them, we're putting this together because this is what we are looking to do. And from it, this is what we are looking to achieve. And they buy into that one, they are going to keep asking you, so where are we? What are we doing about it? Where have we reached? And all that. And sometimes that's the kind of motivation that you need, because especially as adults, we are out here doing so many things. If we lose sight of that goal, we have the kids to keep bringing us back and reminding us, this is why we are doing it. This is why this goal is relevant to us. It's at the core of us, so that now we can figure out how to be able to go forward with achieving these goals. So when we are setting these goals and we're saying, okay, fine, this is what we want to do. In that family setup, there's the bit where now there are all these things that we feel very specific that are likely to work against us achieving this goal. But so we have to look at them and see how can we first factor it. You always need to know, this is where I am, this is what we want to achieve. These are the risks. These are the key things that can be able to cause us not to achieve. So can we be able to look at them and see what we can do about them now, or how we can be able to just manage them and turn them not to be negatives, but in a way to be positives to help us achieve. So we have income fluctuations where we are looking at, sometimes we set a goal, we are very happy about it. We've said we want to save this money. Ours is our family's financial security. We are looking to save this money so that we can start this business. We are very happy about it. But within, as we start off on that journey of trying to save this money, we are bound maybe at some point to get into a point where there's maybe one person loses their income, and now we have to start surviving on one. So how can we be able to stick to this goal with and taking into consideration what has just happened? So in case it does happen, you always say prepare for the worst, so that if it happens, you're prepared. If it doesn't happen, you are even better placed in that journey. So it's asking ourselves, so this is what we want to achieve. But even as we are working towards it, as we've said, it's not something we're going to achieve tomorrow, because even tomorrow, we don't know. It's something we are looking to achieve over time. Within this time frame, these challenges might occur. If at any 1.3 months, 6 months down the line, maybe one of us loses our income, what would we do? And is there something we can start doing now to be able to mitigate against that? So it's looking at, okay, fine, yes, we want to save for that, but do we have an emergency fund in place? Have we kept aside? Do we need now to factor that one in, even as we are looking at this goal? So that also becomes very key for us to make sure that we have a cushion in place in case we have a situation where one of us loses their job and all that. We have the struggle for what is it? When we are looking at these goals, do we look at goals that we can achieve now? Do we look at the future? What do we prioritize? Do we prioritize the things that we can achieve now? But for me, with this one, I say, if your goals are right, then you'll find even your short-term goals build onto your long-term goals. So you don't have to look at them into, this is just one goal and that's it once it's done. You always look at that long-term view, but then you're seeing within this long-term view, there are all these steps, and all these steps represent the short-term goals that we are able to work on, achieve, and with that, we are going up onto the future. So we are thinking, fine, we want to save up for this piece of land or this business that we are starting. But what else can we be able to do within this time? Have we equipped ourselves with the business skills? Those are things that we can be able to do in the short term. So that also becomes a goal that builds up onto that. So when we get to that goal where we have this money, now we are ready to set up this business to be able to, work on our financial security as a family. We've also acquired, within that process, we've acquired the skills that we need to be able to make this business successful. So we are not just looking at, okay, only the long-term goals, but we are thinking about all this short-term. How do they add up to the long-term goals that we have? Because they all have to work together for the benefit of the family as a whole. Then you have the one for managing debt, because at times, yes, we are setting these goals. We are trying to make this 200,000, but over here, we already have a debt that we had to take. Maybe there's a time we didn't have money to pay school fees, or we've taken loans, maybe for medical purposes and all that. So we are limited in how much we are able to put aside for this savings that we're trying to do to be able to start this business. No, it's looking at that and saying, okay, fine. So how much is it? If we are servicing this loan, yes. Will it need us to go and see whether to restructure it so that we can pay less, or do we now concentrate and see, let's pay off this debt, and then now we do that. So it's when you put all those things into consideration. What I'm saying is, don't look at it as an island. Don't just say, okay, let's set our goals here. All these other problems are on this other end. You always have to sit as you're working to figure out how you're going to achieve these goals. You have to think of all the things that can come into play and maybe negatively affect you achieving that goal, and factor that one in even as you plan during your goal planning sessions. Yeah. And problems are there. They will always be there. There'll be newer problems when we find solutions for the older ones. But then it's looking and seeing, so what are some of the solutions? What are some of the strategies that we can be able to employ to help us not to just plan for these goals and not really do anything, but plan and actually reach the point where we can say, we worked on this, we are here. We've moved from point A to point B. Because you're always told, celebrate those milestones. So we need to get to these milestones to be able to start celebrating them. And for me, for families, I see the first thing, even before you start thinking of this, I think the solution of all solutions is in unity. Just for families, it is in that unity. Because, Mario Puzo, Godfather, the strength of a family, like the strength of an army, lies in its loyalty to each other. When we are stronger together. We are working together, we are pulling each other, we are honest. And that's why, for me, you'll see in most of my posts, I always say, for families, we need to have open, honest conversations. It has to start from there. Open, honest conversations. The level of openness, of course, will depend with whoever you are talking to, but we need to have open, honest conversations with our spouses, with our children, with our parents, with our relatives, so that they understand. And sometimes that honesty is what will craft the solutions to some of these challenges that we are facing. Yeah, so that is one. Talk about it. That is the first solution when it comes to family and goals and all these challenges. Just talk about it. Sometimes it might mean talking to maybe another family you're close to, because you realize what you mean. Maybe they've gone through what you're going through and they can share. As I said at the beginning of this, for me, I always find I take these webinars as a platform to be able to share and see, there's someone out there, there's a family out there that's going through something that another family has already gone through, but it's through that platform that you're able now to come together and realize, oh, let's try this. It might work for us, but at least, we have tried something. So for me, part of the solution, and these are like very practical. One is to be very realistic. And realistic is to say, yes, this is what we want to do. But again, let's be honest, this is where we are financially. So with what we have now, in as much as we're being told, yes, aspire for more and all that, but we have to have a starting point. And this is our starting point. What can we do? And what can we not do right now? Yeah, because as I said, part of the reason why we set goals and we let them go 2-3 months down the line is because we stretch ourselves far too much. And when we stretch ourselves far too much, we find out it becomes frustrating and we don't enjoy that journey. You're supposed to enjoy that whole process, but it can only start when you're honest. Yeah, this is what we have. This is what we can start with. If we can be able to, when we've looked at our budget and we can comfortably put aside 2,000 shillings every month or 5,000 shillings every month, let's start from that point. Yeah, we will be better placed next month or 3 months because, circumstances change. When they change, we will sit, we will evaluate, and then we'll say, okay, fine, now we are comfortable putting aside this 10,000. It works like that. Yeah. Again, and this is the point where we say, don't wait until, no, we'll wait until the money comes. It will never be enough. You start, we are realistic, we start with where we are. We know this is what we can do now, and this is what we cannot do. We might be able to do it later, but, we will build up to it and get there. Secondly is on collective savings, because to be honest, we've said, the unity is strength. Sometimes some of these groups, the investment groups, the chamas and everything, or even just coming together as families and contributing. I've worked with families where, they've sat and they've said, we are 4 children in this family. Our parents, we are blessed, our parents are still alive, but we do not have any medical cover for them. Now, we don't want a situation where our mom gets sick. And usually what happens during that time when they get sick is when everyone is paying school fees, you have all these other things that your money is tied to. So, it becomes very hard for you to do. So what can we do? Let's come together. Let's put this kitty together and say, this is for the medical expenses of our parents. And you're able to do that. So on a monthly basis, everyone contributes and put that. So that becomes, like an extended family shared goal. We know this is why we are doing it. So on a monthly basis, everyone factors it into their own family budget, and then you're able to contribute. So that in case something like that does happen, we don't start scattering around and saying, oh my God, now where will we get money to be able to take them to hospital and all that stuff. So we are looking at it collectively. What can we be able to do? Because a little I bring onto the pot, my brother brings a little, my sister brings a little, and we keep growing that. When that situation does occur, we are better placed to be able to deal with it. Yeah. The other thing that we can do, we have control over, is to plan early. We have school fees. January, I have a child who's going to school, the adjoining primary school. I need to buy uniform, I need to buy books. I've seen nowadays we even buy street toilet paper, rim paper, all those things. So those are the things, and I know if it is next year, January, they are going to join, what do you call it? It's not, class 1. I need to be able to plan myself. I have how many months? I have 10, 11 months to be able to do that. If this is my first child, in my circle somewhere, there's someone who's had a child who's gone through that. Can I be able to find out, so how much money do I start putting aside for this? Then you're able to plan for that, yeah? So plan early for those big expenses, because part of these big expenses are the ones which make us end up with debt. Because when you don't plan for it, they reach, then we end up now trying to access debt to be able to cater for those ones. And then financial literacy, really, and for this, for me, I tell people, it needs to end with us, this thing for, oh my God, I wish I knew these things early. I wish I'd started saving early. I wish I'd started investing early. I would be earning a lot of passive income and all that. As we said, we're working with what we can right now. So at this point, the importance of saving. The importance of investing. Why can't we make it end with us? Yeah. So that we equip our children, the younger generation, with the financial literacy skills they need. So as they grow up, they know the importance of saving, they know the importance of investing. When they get that first job of theirs, they will not be looking at which expensive car can I buy, which places can I go on holiday with my friends? Yes, all those are good because we have to live now. But is there more to it? No. Can I start my savings journey early? Can I start my my investing journey early enough? So we have to make sure those are things that we can be able to, yes, as we have these challenges, but we want to make the next generation better placed when it comes to how they handle these challenges and all that. Yeah. So I tell parents we have to think beyond, and this is when I was doing research, I found this, and this is a model that shows us how our our financial um, socialization, our mindsets and our everything comes into play when it comes to the financial behavior, the well-being of the family, not just this generation, but even the generation that is coming after us. And it's basically explaining how we learn about money, we learn about finances from our families, and this shapes on how we handle money, our financial habits as we grow. So, because as an individual, you're bringing this is your personal mindset, personal financial mindset, your money story, and all that stuff, and then you're coming in, and it becomes part of the family characteristic, how that family now handles money. So we have to look at it from, so here there's a family interaction, because now the younger generation are looking to see, how is my parent handling money? No, how are they relating? How are they managing their money? And from that, then we are able to develop the financial attitudes, the knowledge, and what we do. And with that, we'll see it forms a very big part of how our financial behavior is formed and our financial well-being. So, and that's why I'm saying we have to reach the point where we say it ends with us. Yeah. Here, it ends with us, so that whatever we bring in past here, whatever we take into the family interactions and our money management is positive, so that going forward with the next generation, they know better, they do better, their behavior, their financial behavior is better, and their financial well-being at least is secured. They're not learning it later on in life. Yeah. So and for me, that is very key. Part of the reason why I do what I do is to get us to stop that narrative. We need to end it, and it needs to end with us, and encourage our young ones as well in this whole family. Part of the reason why I say family, family financial goal setting, it's the family, all of us. And I know someone will ask, and what about the little ones? Like, really, do we now start asking them, okay, so what do you want us to do as a family? I tell the families I work with that sometimes for the younger age, you would set the goals for them. You want them to learn this. You want them to understand money management. So we'll get a piggy bank. We will explain to them how it happens. We will go to the bank. We'll explain what this institution is, story like that. So you've set that goal for them. So as they grow older, then now they start taking responsibility over their own goals. Now, as they're growing older, you find even the conversations become easier because you've involved them from when they were young. And as we're having these conversations, so for me, I always say, when you're going through that goal setting process, you're asking yourself, it's not just about, this is what we need to do to achieve this. 3 very key questions. And this is, I would say this is like take home from today's session, is we are asking ourselves, what financial habits do we need to build first? Before we even embark on this goal, what do we need? What do we need to build? Because we might have all these big goals, but we don't have any budgeting skills. Of course, we have not saved. We don't understand debt management. So what financial skills, financial habits do we need to build first for us to be able to, confidently achieve this? Then secondly, we ask yourself, then you insert that goal that you're working, either as an individual or as a family. How does it align with the long-term vision? I'm saying I want to achieve this. How is it? I remember the steps I was talking about. So just that. So is it a step towards that long-term vision that I'm trying to achieve? Then can we achieve this without compromising other priorities? Yeah. It needs the goals that we set, either as individuals or as families, they need to fit into our overall financial plan. So they don't come in and we end up having to sacrifice the essentials. So we are sacrificing emergency, we're sacrificing healthcare, we're sacrificing education because we are trying to buy this car or we're trying to buy this land. Can we be able to achieve it, even if we have to achieve it over a longer period of time? But we have to make sure that it's not compromising our other priorities as we set up this. And when we do get, because I believe when we actually plan it out nicely and ask ourselves those questions and we're able to answer, we're able to sit together as a family and we work on these goals and reach a point where we have achieved those goals. Some of us get to a point of what we call the arrival fallacy, yeah, where you feel like, hey, if we achieve this, that is it. Everything will be fine, and then that will be it. You know, we won't have to stress anymore. We always believe, we always believe that. But for me, it's just to remind all of us that one, it's not really, to be honest, it really should be more about the process than the end. Yes, we want to achieve that goal, but especially when you're doing it as a family, we want to enjoy that process. We want that process to be a learning curve for each and every one of us. As we've said, part of the reason why we were saying do it as a shared, come up with shared family goals is for that family unity, that strength that comes, that bond that grows because we've all sat and we've all decided, you know what, we are doing this, we are in this together. Through every step, there are lessons that we are learning. And those lessons are the ones which help us to form the habits that we need to go forward. For us as adults, even for the younger kids, as as we are going through these steps together as a family, it's very, very important. So it's not just about can we be able to do, enjoy those steps. If we are saving towards buying that piece of land, where are we saving? If we are putting this money in a money market fund, let's have sessions where we sit and we just explain to the younger kids, like, oh yeah, so this is what we are doing. From the money that Daddy and I are bringing in, this is part of it we are putting into this, and we are putting it into this account, and every time we put it there, it's earning some money. And now that money on the next month ends up earning more money. So even them, they start learning the concept of compounding. So it's not about, oh, we said we're going to do this, now the money is there, we can be able to do that. But the process in between has a lot of learning lessons that we can pick, not just for us as adults, but even as for the kids as they grow up. The other bit as well, for me, it's we keep evolving. Things change. We reach a goal, we achieve it. It doesn't mean that's the end. One goal should be a stepping stone onto another one, and all that. So keep evolving your goals as a family. You achieve one and you keep stretching yourself and trying to see, so what else can we be able to do beyond this? Because yeah, and I think just for me, it's just that this whole process is because we are all, it's not just about, okay, fine, let's do this, let's get there. We want to use this process as a way for us as a family to come together, to bond, to learn, to lean on one another, and to figure out how to support one another. It's a growing journey as well for each, and a learning process as well for each and every family member. Yeah, and with that, I think I will end it there. I kept on trying to look and see if anyone, if everyone has shared a question or not. But yes, so that is it for me. But I think it's also, I think it needs to be like a wake-up call. As we said in the beginning, one tree does not make a forest. We need to come together. We need to realize that even in this whole goal-setting process, we can lean on one another. We can share the strengths that we have within our families. There's a lot, that we can be able to bring in if we work together. So it's not usually about the mom or the dad is the one who's setting the goals and doing things. We all need to chip in however we can. whenever we can to be able to do that. And I think for me also the other thing is the wisdom again, the way you say it, to be able to understand what is within our control, what is not within our control, and courage to be able to tackle the ones that is in our control. If we have to have those tough conversations with our relatives to say, look, I am grateful for you being part of my life, being part of my family, but now I have this, I have my wife, I have my children, and I'm working on these things. So I might not be able to help you as much as I can. And sometimes it just takes those conversations. I'm trying to build my family home. I am stretched as it is. Where I can, I will be able to help. But where I cannot, just be understanding, give some grace. You have those tough conversations with your parents. I cannot be able to fund you for every harambe because I have 1, 2, 3. Sometimes we don't have to explain. For the ones who feel like they are entitled, it's also to look and see what else can I be able to do. Can I assist them in any other way? Is there a way we can kill this, cut this over reliance? So if it is a sibling who they are always asking you for money, it is what can I be able to do to empower them so that they can make their own? Then it stops being my problem. So it's not that much about factoring it into your budget and bearing all the stress and everything, but it's seeing this is within my control. Can I employ some wisdom to be able to handle this? And how can I be able to handle it? Then now you look at those ways, empower them with this, get them to figure out how to manage their money, explain to the parents, talk to the siblings, come together, the collective saving bit. Let's do this for our parents, because we cannot think that's a situation we cannot change. They cannot go and start looking for work. So we are here. Can we work with the situation we have? What's the best way to go around it? Then you're able to do that. Because for me, I do believe when we put our heads together, most of these pressures that we face, we can be able to come up with just strategies to go to manage them or solutions to each and everyone and in every one of them. So as I said, key is conversations, open, honest conversations. Yeah. Thank you. Any Q&A, anyone who has a question or would want to share something? I'm opening the floor for all of us. I feel like I have spoken a lot. Those are my contacts. As I've said, you can reach out. I have shared my handles as well on the chat. But do follow me on Instagram. I'm very active on Instagram and on LinkedIn. I'm building up the YouTube channel. This is recorded, so I will be able to share it on our YouTube channel. Feel free. Again, what I normally I tell everyone in every session is, please do share. This knowledge needs to get out here for all of us. So once I share the link, please do share with them. Follow, encourage your friends, your family members to follow so that we can all learn together. We all improve. Leave no one behind when it comes to financial empowerment. Warimo is here. Warimo's raised a hand. Yes, Warimo. I think you can unmute.
Oh, yes, I can, not to worry. First of all, thank you so much for delivering this way you have, especially the beginning that I felt like the note I put down for myself was, it starts with me. It was nice to start this money or goal setting conversation with just assessing myself as a human and my habits, as opposed to maybe put money here or there. So like I really appreciated that approach. Something that I feel like can be challenging in a familial setting. Yes, sometimes there's some family members who may not be able to work and contribute to a goal, but maybe they contribute to the goal indirectly, say by making sure there's food and stuff like that for the person who, for instance, has to come home from work or is working from home and stuff like that. However, that's sometimes a lack of understanding in the hardships the person who's actually going out to get the money is going through, and how they have to put this aside and still save towards that goal, but do the day-to-day. I feel like if there's another family member who's not doing that actual work, like getting the money, sometimes over time there's a breakdown in like the sweat and the struggle that comes with delivering the money that benefits everyone else, whether that's for short-term leading up to long-term goals. So in those instances, what in your experience, because I'm sure it's really case by case and you've spoken to a lot of families, what are some strategies for very practical strategies for getting maybe the person who is not getting the income but supporting the goal in other ways? How do you get such a person on board? Maybe some communication strategies around that. That's my first question. My second one is in a family where there's never been a goal setting conversation, and there's been maybe that's something even people shy away from. In your experience, is it maybe a goal, like somebody presenting a goal that gets kind of people thinking like, okay, let's get to it, or start very like at the top, like how do people even feel about goals and things like that? So yeah, those are my two questions, and thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I like that one. We see that a lot on your first question, where in most family setup, it would be maybe just one of the partners, maybe the husband and wife who's out there earning the money. Then either the wife, though nowadays we do see, you know, some ladies are the ones who are out there, then the man is actually taking care of the home. But for me, as I said, I feel like for most, I always say it starts with a conversation where now we have to get to the root of it. Looking at, okay, fine, so we are sitting here. This is what we are working towards as a family, but this is the situation we are in. I'm the one who's going, I'm out here, I'm working, I'm trying to get the money, and you're here at home. But it's looking at it from the point of view. So if we were to either maybe just role play and say, okay, so fine, either you sit, then I go and get, and get the bacon, or we both go, then what are we giving up? Because then even within the goal setting setup, we are looking at it from the family values point of view. Now, there must be a reason behind why one spouse is at home. So if it's not economic in terms of like maybe job loss and all that, it could be that we did sit down and decide, you know what, we want our children to have this kind of foundation. And for that to happen, then we plan ourselves around our one income. And most of the time I say, if that is the case, then your family value is on that. So, and that is more important than coming here and saying, okay, fine, let's do this. As I said, when you're looking at the goals, we are looking at the goals from the core of the family. So these goals need to be able to support the family values that you are upholding. And if it's coming and it will inhibit some of these things, then you have to have that discussion and see and get everyone on the same page that maybe this is what we had agreed. But if we are working towards this, then it will either mean we can only achieve it over a longer period of time, or it would mean now I have to go back to the workforce or start a business. What does that mean for our family, and are we ready for it? Yeah, so they are tough conversations, but they're conversations we have to have as families, because then if we don't, we end up having like a lot of negative emotions building up and reaching the point where now, the one who feels like they're struggling out there comes back and pours a frustration on that. The one who's sitting at home might be telling themselves, oh my God, you just see them, your partner is overly stressed. So you feel like now maybe he's viewing me as I'm doing nothing. And then it ends up building like a lot of issues with the family, which should really not be there, especially if you'd had that conversation and agreed this is what is most important to us as a family. Yeah. So for me, I would say just that conversation first and find, I don't say like a middle ground, but just find why did we settle for this in the first place? Go back to the drawing board and say this is where we started and this is why we are doing it. And that. For the other one, now I've even forgotten. What was it about? I remember this. Wait, I only wrote this one. What was the other question?
Oh, sorry, yeah. So
oh yes, I've remembered.
Okay.
On the discussion on the goals, yeah?
Yes.
Yes. And this is like not just goals. For me, I find even about money. because everyone says, wow, even talking to my parents about money, or just sitting down and trying to get my siblings so that we can talk about money is a very tough situation. So I say two things. Yes, it is a tough situation because maybe we've not had that conversation before. So we have to start it from a very light note. If you know your family, um, swing it into the conversations that you're having. When you're having all these family get-togethers and you're sitting there, I tell people, please don't just be eating together. Have meaningful conversations. And part of it would be just slide in and say, I think, can we talk about or maybe just give an example of what you've seen about someone. It could be things about inheritance, about land. Or, Nani, they've started, they're farming in that land, or they've leased that land, and they're making some money out of it. What do you guys think? So then now you start working on those conversations. So let's not just have happy, I call them sometimes happy fake conversations where you're like, oh, you're fine, you're fine. Oh, the weather, oh, we went here, we did this. No, let's create new traditions of having meaningful conversations. And two, because we realize that we are having this difficult time having these conversations, is because we are starting them when we are older. Then that means what we need to do, we have to change that narrative. So are we having these conversations with our children? So that as they get older, it will become easier for them. It will be something that we are already doing. So we can have those conversations. As they're moving out of home, we can sit and I can look at their budget and tell them, hey, boss, you're not ready to move out of home. Still sit here, save for this and this and this. This is when I think it would be good for you. We have those, then we end up having those conversations. But I have, for me, I think it gets easier with time, but it will only get easier if we start those conversations. Yeah. So we are all very different, but and our families are different, but you always know, even for your parents, and I tell this for siblings, if you're looking to have retirement or, those medical related conversations with your parents, if you are like 2 or 3 siblings, there is that one sibling. When you sit the 4 of you, you know that one sibling who can be able to bring up that conversation. Task them with that one. You guys have a discussion, the 4 of you, and then, the rest, the 3 of you will be giving them moral support. But the fact is you end up having a beginning of that conversation. And then now from there, it just starts getting easier and easier with time. Yes, but we have to start that conversation. I'm seeing Joanne is saying, how do I get my husband on board on this journey of finances? Yes, finances, investing, some of these things, sometimes it becomes very tough. And especially if the man feels like, their day is already full, they're out there, they're working, and then now you're saying, oh, let's sit here, or still, let's think about, or can we be able to budget and invest in this and all that stuff. So one is just to be able to see, can you be able to, it works differently for people. For some families I've seen where, the wife has said, okay, fine, I think this would work for us. We sit, we're on board, and then the husband says, you know what, it's fine, you can start off. And then they will just chip in wherever they can. So you're giving them updates on, okay, so this is where we are, this is where the account is, this is what they're doing. Because again, we've said we want everyone to be part of this journey and feel like, they can accommodate it within their everyday being. But it is just starting that. The start is usually very, very difficult. I will not, I will not lie, just being able to start. But if you can find an example, and we see so many things in the news, these people who, or even just friends who you thought they were better off, they had money, and then now they had no savings, they had no emergency, and the spouse lost their job, and now they are scrambling, they're trying to figure out what to do. That can be like a wake-up call. You are like, okay, so what do you think? What can we be able to have? Let's think, something like this can happen to us as well. If it does, what can we do? Is there something we can start doing now? Those small things that you could, that will make us start questioning the decisions that we are making as regards our finances, and then maybe now just figure out how can we come together to be able to do this. Do you think you could feel inferior? if you're the one who's handling the finances. No, if you're having open, honest discussions, sometimes it could be that he says, fine, you can handle that bit. And it's not handling like you do whatever you want. It's handling because, you'd be able to maybe do the research, and that then you come back and we make that decision to go about this together. And actually, I'm asking you. Yes. Yeah, but it's bringing it forward, because remember, all of us get affected if our finances go wrong. So, and that's why it's not just one person's doing, it needs to be all of us. And I'll tell you, because from experience, I've seen families where if one spouse is the one who's doing it and they're doing it in secret. I think there was some discussion online about this. They're doing it in secret. If anything happens to them, the spouse, who's left, if God forbid they pass on, the spouse who's left has no idea that, this guy had bought shamba here, or they had done these investments and all that stuff. So in as much as maybe they would be the ones doing, but we are doing it jointly. Like, I understand what it is that is going on, so that if in case anything happens to my wife, or anything happens to my husband, or anything happens to my parents, I know these are the investments they had done. This is what is there. If it comes to land, this is what it is. And then we can be able to sit and work on that. It's very, very important. Those discussions are not easy, but we really need to have them, because, at the end of it, the people who suffer is us, our children, because then if I pass on, my husband doesn't know what I've been doing, then what happens? They will end up struggling there. Meanwhile, there's a portfolio that is being handed over to the state with him, because then he had not even maybe put me as a beneficiary and all that stuff. So these discussions are very, very important. What is also key is to just make sure that it's not an ambush, and it's not, saying you're not capable, you're not doing anything and all that stuff. It's to start it from a nice, comfortable point of view. Very easy. What do you think? Let's brainstorm around this, because we are both going to be affected negatively if we don't handle it well together. It could be maybe just sharing a story that we have seen. It could be talking about, as I've said, an experience that you've seen someone else going through, and trying to get them now to start that conversation. So those conversation starters are very important, but let it come from a neutral point of view, not finger pointing and all that stuff. Yeah. Yeah, but key again, especially for families, it's very important when you're chilling together as a family, as siblings. With that, do take time and just find and bring up financial discussions. It's really very important. Yes, Paul Joseph, you've raised a hand.
Yeah, I think I just want to reply to Joanna. I think she's trying to present what she's struggling about, but I think this was the problem since one day.
Sorry, you're breaking? Was it just?
Do you hear me now?
Oh, no, you're still breaking.
Oh, is my network low?
Okay, now I can hear you.
All right, so I was talking to Joanne specifically. I think what she's going through is because they never talked about it before they got married. So what I think in mind is just to have a humble approach and keep the consistency. Talk about it, and you need to, like just Linda said, you need to be consistent talking about these things. But if you think your partner is not in collaboration, you can just keep on pushing, but in a very humble way, so that one day, but also you can also include prayers, believing that one day things will be okay. I think so.
Yes. And what I've seen working with most families is sometimes, you start those conversations, especially when it comes to, can we be able to save? Can we be able to do something? If you feel that maybe they're not on board, you have to give them space, because we are all very different. There are those ones who buy into an idea very quickly. There are those ones who are very, the doubting Thomas, very skeptical at first. So when you know your spouse, when you know your sibling, when you know your family members, at times it might actually need you to start, so that now when they see, oh, you mean, we can put this aside, and it's really helpful, it's growing, we are not going out, we are getting this small dividend check and everything. And I keep telling one, when I have 3 babies, when I had my babies, I opened up an account for them. And it's not like he wasn't supportive, but my husband always questions, is like, they don't really understand what it is you are trying to do and all that. But the minute, we were buying very few shares here and there, because for me, I was looking at it from a very long-term perspective. As they grow, we keep buying. And the minute we started getting the dividend checks, it's a joint account, so my name and the baby's name, and he would get very excited. And he's like, okay, hey, we can do this. Sometimes it's opening that fund and starting putting some money aside for your emergency fund. And it's, I explained to you that I saw this happening to these people, when the husband lost the job before he got another one, they were really struggling. I don't want us to get to that point. And he's like, okay, fine, he can relate to that. But the bit for where now can we be putting money aside? He starts getting a bit, he's like, okay, no, these things, they can fail. There's always all these reasons. So it's to get to understand from where they're coming from and saying, okay, fine, is it something that we can start, just make that first step, so that when they see we've made that first step, we keep updating them. Well, we have this, we put in this 2,000, now it's earned this 100 shillings and all that. They become part of the milestones as you're going along. And before you know it, they join in and become part of it. Yeah. So it's to start off as simple and easy as you can. Again, I said very neutral ground, and then to just keep it consistent, keep involving them. And as time goes, you'll find them getting even more and more involved into it as it is. Yeah. Oh, thank you, David. Oh, from TZ. Oh, wow. This is good. Thank you. East African. Oh, that is my mommy. Yeah, so it is recorded. Mom, it's recorded. We'll share with you. It's going to be on our YouTube channel, so I'll share, then you can go through the whole presentation. Those are my contacts as well, so you can reach out. If you're as a family, you want to have those discussions and you're thinking, hey, we don't know who's going to raise those issues, do invite me. I will join in. I can come. Oh, wow, we have Uganda as well. Oh my God, this is good. Thank you so much, guys. Yeah. As I was saying, I can come in and be part of your family for the little while that you invite me, and we can have those discussions, just get you around understanding how to budget, talking through the investments, any questions you have on savings and investing, share my 15 plus years of experience with your family around that. Yeah, so that we start off 2025 and we end 2025 as a stronger family, both in love and in finances. Yeah, thank you, Winnie, my namesake Achieng. But yes, yeah, I'll share my contacts and everything as well, and the recording as well. Thank you, Wairimo. Thank you so much. Yeah. I'm hoping you can have more of this. Oh, wow. Your name is very interesting. Nenduvoto Molel. Oh, wow. I hope I have not massacred your name, but thank you so much. Thank you, Paul Joseph. Thank you, Beryl. Thank you, guys. I'm hoping you can have more of these discussions, because, again, I believe, we need to have a starting point for our society as well, and it's to have more and more of these discussions. So maybe, hopefully, every month we'll be having a webinar on topics that affect our families and finances. Yes, so that we can all be better placed and get our families in better financial positions going forward. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Johnson. Yes, and please do share any topics you feel like we can be able to cover. We can cover any that we can get a guest in to come and also share their expertise. Share the topics with me, and then I can do the research and get someone to come and share with us as well. Yeah. 2025 is a year of growing our families in knowledge. Yeah. But thank you so much. I think with that, we'll come to the end of the webinar. I will share the recording with all of us, but I appreciate your time. I appreciate your engagement. I also get to learn from these sessions. So thank you for also sharing your insights as well.